I'm Patrick Watson, I'm an astrologer, and I'd like to offer a disclaimer that this is a video about the 10 different types of people associated with the zodiacal sign of Cancer, not cancer, the diseases. Now, oncologists have at least two reasons to hate astrology. Cancer is a watery cardinal sign ruled by the moon. The moon is a satellite of both the Earth and the Sun, so it's considered to embody reactive, passive principles. The moon originally came from the Earth, a kind of Eve's rib to Adam's Earth, so the moon is associated with where we come from, our sense of home, our parents, and especially our mother. It also has close associations with our emotions, instincts, habits, our fertility, our physical bodies, our physical needs, food and water, general health. People with the sun in Cancer are stereotyped as emotional and moody. They tend to be concerned with security and privacy, and they often have strong nurturing and protective instincts and domestic inclinations. The archetypal Cancerian figures include mothers and fathers, caretakers of children, doctors, nurses, and chefs. In fact, quite a few prominent chefs and food critics were born with the sun in Cancer, such as Anthony Bourdain, Wolfgang Puck, Andrew Zimmern, Ron Ben Israel, Sandra Lee, etc. Cancers are caring, culinary, and comfort-seeking, cagey, cantankerous, and curmudgeonly, cranky, clingy, and, well, crabby. Also, because of the moon's associations with women and mothers, Cancer rules the tits. So, there's that. One way you can differentiate between people with the sun in Cancer is seeing what planets are in aspect to their Cancer sun. Today we're just focusing on the conjunction aspect, where a planet is close to the same degree as the sun. Different planets conjunct the sun in Cancer equals different types of Cancer. Sun conjunct moon in Cancer. The moon is in its own sign in Cancer, so having the moon in Cancer can indicate emotional connection, empathy, or popularity with the public. Sofia Vergara was born with the sun and moon in Cancer, and motherhood seems to be a persistent theme in her professional and personal life. She's most famous for her popular portrayal of a vivacious mom on the sitcom Modern Family, winning many awards for her comic and sexy performance. Family is very important to her. Just as an example, instead of bringing a date to the Emmy Awards, she bought 21 tickets for her family members to attend. She first became a mother at just 19 years old and is technically being sued by two of her embryos that she and a past fiance had made for an IVF treatment that they didn't go through with. Because in Louisiana, every sperm is sacred, every sperm is great. If a sperm is wasted, God gets quite irate. Sun conjunct Mercury in Cancer. Mercury is the planet of the writer, the communicator, the jokester, the prankster. One pretty good example of the sun in Cancer conjunct Mercury is the comedian Ricky Gervais. He's been described as the king of cringe comedy, a genre where the humor derives from social awkwardness and making the audience squirm and, well, cringe with discomfort. And anyone who's seen his shows, The Office or Extras, should be well aware of the lengths Ricky Gervais will go to make you cringe and laugh. That his humor centers on your emotional reactions instead of your intellect seems fairly appropriate for the emotional sign of Cancer. Sun conjunct Venus in Cancer. Venus is the planet of love, peace, and harmony, and Marianne Williamson was born with the sun conjunct Venus in Cancer. She, of course, is the new agey self-help guru who wrote the book Return to Love. Appropriately for Cancer, she founded a charity called Project Angel Food, which is a Meals on Wheels program for AIDS patients too sick to shop and cook for themselves. She also founded the Peace Alliance, which campaigns for domestic and international peace building and for the establishment of a federal Department of Peace. She became well known when Oprah Winfrey had her on a show and endorsed her book. Oprah Winfrey was also born with the sun conjunct Venus, except it's in Aquarius. The date Oprah Winfrey hosted Marianne Williamson on her show? June 24th, 1992, when the sun was conjunct Venus in Cancer. Sun conjunct Mars in Cancer. Mars is the planet of the warrior, the fighter, the athlete. Mars in Cancer is actually considered to be one of the worst signs for Mars to be in, although this next example should give some hope to people with Mars in Cancer. Cancer is a water sign, and Michael Phelps was born with the sun conjunct Mars in Cancer, and he's an Olympic champion swimmer. He's Mars in the water. But sometimes he gets in hot water. Ha! We all know cancers have a thing about food, and this guy could tear through 12,000 calories a day in his preparations for the Olympics. His crazy diet inspired some ill-advised eating competitions called the Michael Phelps Challenge, and even made fun of it on Saturday Night Live. Perhaps he could be a competitive eater now that he's done being a competitive swimmer. It would certainly fit both notions of Sun conjunct Mars in Cancer. Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is the planet of jollity, indulgence, and excess. Stand-up comic Jim Gaffigan was born with the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, and his simply hilarious stand-up material revolves around very Cancerian topics: family, fatherhood, laziness, and food. Google Jim Gaffigan and Hot Pockets, bacon, or cake if you need a good laugh. He comes from a very large family and ended up becoming a father to 5 children himself. As if he needed more proof of his Jupiter and Cancer bona fides, the titles of his 2 books are Dad is Fat and Food, a Love Story. He is so Jupiter and Cancer, I can hardly Jupiter my Cancer right now because my Cancer's all Jupitered up with Jupiter and Cancer. He's so Jupiter and Cancer. Hot Pockets! Sun conjunct Saturn in Cancer. Saturn is the planet of burdens, responsibilities, and hardships. The moon has a special connection to the concept of parenthood, especially motherhood, so I don't know if anyone could possibly typify Sun conjunct Saturn in Cancer any more than Nadia Suleman, the so-called octomom, who was born with the Sun conjunct Saturn in Cancer. Not only did she have octuplets all at the same time, but she had 6 children before that. Even if I was interpreting this aspect for someone I knew nothing about, I might say that someone with this aspect might have obstacles and issues surrounding notions of parenthood and the desire to nurture. And she has said, somewhat understandably, I hate babies, they disgust me, obviously I love them, but I absolutely wish I had not had them. So yeah, this is just too literal and honestly kind of a bummer. In the last example, Jim Gaffigan has 5 kids, but it's all jolly and good because he's rich and they're taken care of and they provide him with stand-up material. In this example, Nadia has 14 kids, but it's definitely not jolly because she has no way to provide for them without extensive help. He's Jupiter in Cancer, she's Saturn in Cancer. Sun conjunct Uranus in Cancer. Uranus is the planet of freedom, rebellion, and progress at any cost. 2 examples of the Sun conjunct Uranus in Cancer stand out to me: American Senator Elizabeth Warren and German Chancellor Angela Merkel. True to the nature of Cancer, Elizabeth Warren's professional life and interests focused on protections of middle-class families, and Uranus has taken her to do this in remarkable ways. She was instrumental in setting up the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, which is unfortunately a rare example of the government actually giving a crap about ordinary people against huge financial interests. Angela Merkel clearly has a Uranian bent as a former scientist in the field of quantum chemistry, but in her public image she has certainly held forth in a very Cancerian way, not just in being a leader for Germany, but a kind of mother, and not just as a de facto leader of the EU and the free world, but its protector. Interestingly, both Merkel and Warren, in their own ways, represent significant figures of resistance to the presidency of Donald Trump, who was also born with the Sun conjunct Uranus, except his is in Gemini while theirs is in Cancer. Sun conjunct Neptune in Cancer. Neptune is the planet of fantasy, idealism, and imagination. The artist Frida Kahlo was born with the Sun conjunct Neptune in Cancer, and her paintings reveal an interesting mix of her surrealist imagination with Cancerian themes. Consider her painting My Nurse and I, where she depicts herself with an adult head and a baby's body suckling from a lactating breast. And how about her painting The Love Embrace of the Universe, the Earth, Mexico, myself, Diego, and Senor Xolotl, depicting herself as a Madonna-like figure nursing her husband, sitting on a woman who I think is supposed to represent Mexico or the Earth, which also has lactating breasts. This might also be some sort of reflection on the tragic circumstances surrounding her lost dream of becoming a mother, in between having had an involuntary abortion, a miscarriage, and an accident that damaged her uterus. But yeah, all fairly Sun conjunct Neptune in Cancer. Lactating breasts. Also, fun fact about Frida Kahlo, she was born with Saturn at 27 Pisces. Guess who else has Saturn at 27 Pisces? Salma Hayek, the actress who portrayed Frida Kahlo in the movie Frida. Hat tip to Nick Dagan-Bess for that one. Sun conjunct Pluto in Cancer. Louise Fletcher has the Sun conjunct Pluto in Cancer. And what I think is kind of funny about that is that she is most famous for playing the despicable nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Nurse Ratched kind of flips the caring Cancerian stereotype of a nurse on its head by being tyrannical and cruel to the patients in the asylum, standing in as a fascist tyrant, an example of the corrupting influence of power, or Pluto-type stuff. Now, of course, I have no idea to what extent she's actually capable of being like that in real life. Probably not at all. But I think it's enough that this is how she's most known, and with Pluto conjunct her sun, this is what she projected forth into the world. I mean, this wasn't just an ordinary part for her. She won an Oscar for the performance, and a BAFTA, and a Golden Globe, all the awards. Sun conjunct multiple planets in Cancer. Sometimes multiple planets will be conjunct the Sun, so you have to blend their interpretation, which can be a little tricky. Speaking of Pluto, Bill Cosby has the Sun and Mercury conjunct Pluto in Cancer, and he was known as the cuddly, comforting comedian who produced all-American, family-friendly entertainment like Fat Albert, The Cosby Show, and Kids Say the Darndest Things. But as we know now, all this time he's been concealing quite a dark side, with the extensive sexual assault allegations against him, upholding Pluto's reputation for manipulation, secrecy, and power. That's one pudding pop you're probably going to want to put down. Here's an example of a Cancer you've probably never heard of. Thomas John Barnardo was born with the Sun, Moon, Mercury, and Venus in Cancer. He was a doctor and a philanthropist who decided to put his money towards establishing homes for orphans and poor children. He opened his first home in 1867, when Uranus was transiting in Cancer, and in his lifetime, his charity took in 60,000 children. To this day, Barnardo's is still the largest children's charity in the UK. Talk about a desire to nurture and protect. The Cancer was strong with this one. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please like this video, leave a comment, share it on Facebook and Twitter, and please subscribe to my channel for more videos every week-ish, and consider supporting me on Patreon to get my videos a day before everyone else. And to all the people with Sun and Cancer out there this month, happy birthday. There was so much more I wanted to fit into this episode, but I had so much that it made more sense to just put it in a separate video. So that would be about transits through the sign of Cancer. So that should be coming out fairly soon after this one. Stay tuned.